So what you're looking at is basically a techno set or techno track generator inside of the grid. Every 32 bars we generate completely new sound for snare drum, kick drum, hi-hats, lead sound. We also generate new patterns in terms of notes and also modulations here with these sequencers every 32 bars. And we have here at the left side the sequencers, which is basically just a curve modulator, slowly rising up. And this increases firstly the intensity of certain things inside of this patch here. It mainly opens up here the filter actually. And when we reach the top with this sequencer here, we generate a new kick drum, new melody. But the hi-hats stay the same. So you can hear the kick drum is different, the snare is different, the melody is different and so on, but the hi-hats stay the same. They actually have a different sequencer here, offset by 180 degrees. So they switch after 16 bars. So it sounds more like an DJ playing one tune and mixing another tune into the old tune. So basically you can hear the melody stays the same, but the hi-hats change. So it's slightly offset. That's why I use here two different sequencers. But you can see both of them run with 32 bars in length, but this one is just offset by 180 degrees. So this was my idea behind that. Then here on the kick drum, I have a blend actually where I blend the output of the rasp in front of the volume envelope. And then I mix it back in here with the volume envelope. So with this knob, then I can switch between kick drum and bass. So the bass runs longer basically. And of course use a dice module then here to change this, right? From track to track. So some tracks have longer kick drums, some tracks have no bass line, some tracks have a heavy kick drum and a long bass line and so on. So now we have a new track. So you can let this run forever, right? There are a lot of different combinations and it's quite never the same. And I built this in around, I think, 30 minutes. But the longest actually took to tweak all the settings, all the modulation amounts, modulation ranges and so on. So nothing, goes out too weirdly or is too loud and so on. But it works quite well. And like I said, maybe you want to exchange this here for samplers with some 909 or 808 samples. It should sound much, much better. We have some sequencers for the notes. We have some sequencers here for the wavetable position. So you can also exchange the wavetable here to get a different sound. We have your modulations or sequencing for the decay time of the melody. And there's here sequencing for the audio FX. So each note or each pitch gets a different amount of FX mixed in. So it brings also a bit of variety into the tune itself. Also here the patterns are kind of the same. So you can see here the snare is always at the same position. So you can bring in some logic here if you want to change this over time or want to change this at the end of 8 bars, maybe with the probabilities module here, it's also possible. Or the kick drum here uses straight fourth notes, basically. So there's also here, yeah, some options you can choose to make this more interesting. And here for the kick drum, this is also interesting. I used rasp as a filter, basically. So I showed you in some of my recent videos basically how the rasp looks like inside of the spectrum, right? So we can create some nice, interesting resonances here at the resonant frequency of this main filter. So with just modulating this here with some dice modules, we get a different sound for the kick drum each time we generate a new tune. And it works quite well, actually. I think the hi-hats are actually the weak point of this patch currently. It sounds too much like white noise. I tried to bring in here a comp filter to get some metallic sounds out of it. Maybe it's better to use here a phaser or something like this, or like I said, just straight up samples. Maybe there's also some room here to implement some percussion sounds, but I wanted to keep it quite simple. So it's okay, like you have only a snare, a hi-hat, kick drum, lead sound, and then maybe an additional percussion line. Could be something. But like I said, I want to try to keep it simple, and this patch is completely free. I put the link in the description below. It's on my GitHub. It's actually just a generative patch here. You can extend it, can use it for whatever. Maybe it's also interesting to just mute the hi-hats and the kick drum and the snare, and then use it with your 808, with your real 808, and try to blend it in, mix it in, and only use here basically the melody generator for that. Could be also interesting. So yeah, let me know if you use this in any way in the comments. If you like this, please leave me a like, of course, subscribe to the channel, and ask me questions in the comments. And thanks for watching.